Why has the market for male makeup become so big in China? Why is being a real man no longer mainstream here? And why do Chinese girls prefer dating women dressed like men instead of dating machos? Hi everyone, my name is Aina. I have been living in China for 4 years, and today it's time to talk about masculinity crisis in China. Grab some tea and let's get started. One of the richest makeup artists in China is a man. Market for male makeup products in China has grown over the years. The most popular makeup products are lipsticks, toners, brow makeups, etc. When you go to Chinese Sephora, you would notice advertisements of male celebrities promoting makeup. And no, they are not homosexual. Actually, my Chinese ex-boyfriends all had makeup products and even had better skincare regimen than me. If you think that this trend towards male makeup only happened recently, you are absolutely wrong. Recently, the world's oldest whitening makeup has been found inside the tomb of a nobleman who lived in China 2700 years ago. Throughout Chinese history, fair complexion was considered an all-time beauty standard, and I talk about beauty standards more in my previous video. Go watch it if you haven't done so already. At the court of Emperor Hui, his personal attendants were not allowed to report unless their faces were powdered. The great romantic poet Cao Zhi made a visitor wait for 2 hours while he was dressing up and putting on his makeup. Men in the Song period adorned themselves by putting flowers in their hair or heads. But this is all not to say that, all Chinese men throughout their history would spend enormous amount of time and money on their looks. No, this is not to say this, but only the ones, the privileged ones, could afford to do so. Anyway, let's get back to modern times. Now, Chinese people want to gain some muscles, but when you think of body goals, you would probably think of something like this, whereas in China, body goals for men look like this. You should not gain too much muscles, otherwise you would look like an ugly barbarian. And most importantly, while gaining muscles, you have to sustain the cute face. The demand for plastic surgery in China among men has boomed over the years. The most popular plastic surgeries are, of course, a double eyelid surgery and nose job lipo and shaving bones in order to get that cute feminine look. In China, even men do not desire having strong jawlines like in the West. I myself honestly don't have any desire towards those 8-pack guys who strive for 1% fat in their body. And as for Chinese girls, they even prefer feminine looking idols who honestly lack any talent. The less talented and childlike those idols are, the more girls desire them. The demand for feminine-looking idols is so high in China that there is even a boy band which only consists of girls.
这咱们这是就是头一个组合嘛，
和一个比较帅气的女组合。
Actually, women who dress like men are really popular among Chinese women, and minors are also adored by Chinese fans. But why do companies specifically look for the minors to be the next Chinese pop stars? Well, it's explained by the fact that those fans, by watching those idols growing up and glowing up, develop some mother instinct towards the boys. There is a term in China, 小鲜肉, which is literally translated as little fresh meat. This term has existed for quite a while in China, and it describes androgynous men who were born after the 90s. And androgynous means the one who possesses both male and female qualities. It's not rare for those younger boys to want to find a 姐姐, an elder sister, to be their girlfriend.
姐姐，
姐姐，姐姐，姐姐，姐姐，姐姐，
漂亮的姐姐，
姐姐类型的，赞。
And by the way, if you are surprised by this incest incest-like behavior, then you should watch my previous video about dating culture in China. Go watch it if you haven't done so already. Now in China, it is not rare to see a Didi dating a Jie. Didi is younger brother and Jie is elder sister, and this love is called 姐弟恋爱, which basically means elder sister, younger brother's love. Chinese girls who are about 30 years old are even proud of dating younger guys, and at every opportunity on their social media they display how successful their lives are and how young their man is. Chinese ideal man is and never was the same as in the West, if you are still surprised. In the West, your image of the ideal man and chivalry stem from knighthood, when, a knight saves his beloved ones, and now in the modern world you have superhero stories. In China, there is a term Wen Wu. Wen means culture and Wu means fighting. The ideal man in China has to possess both qualities of Wen and Wu. And by the way, the classic representative of Wen, ideal man, the culture man, is of course Confucius. I mention him in my every video now. So why did women desire the men of culture more than the warriors? Well, the answer is easy. The men of culture were always wealthier than the warriors. Throughout history, Chinese people attempted to keep peace. There is even a term called Pax Sinica, which literally means Chinese peace. China was a driving force for peace in the Asian continent, and scientists calculated that Pax Sinica amounted to 2,000 years of peace. That is why warriors were of inferior class. There was simply little demand for them. Whereas in Europe, we studied numerous wars which continued up until the Second World War, when the nukes were invented, and now 70 more years later, we know what's happening in European continent. I actually hope that modern China is not gonna start something new on the island, and I hope we know which island I'm talking about, and I hope that no Western diplomats will trigger China to start something new. In 2021, Chinese government banned sissy boys from appearing on TV and broadcasting platforms in the attempt, to raise real men ready to guard their motherland. Mr. I'll make a man out of you. Chinese government wants to promote masculinity, and the term masculine in Chinese is translated as yanggang, and actually it has a derogatory meaning among Chinese people. A masculine man in Chinese minds is associated with dirty socks, dirty hair, bad smell, big beer belly, all in all something uncultured. On the other hand, a positive term which describes men is 君子, and in English it's translated as a gentleman, but Chinese meaning is actually different from that in English. According to Confucius, and I mentioned him already the second time here, 君子 is conservative, modest, moderate, reserved, cautious with words and actions. He is righteous, he is noble, he doesn't talk nonsense, he follows the code of conduct. Basically, it is a kind of man who keeps a face of steel all the time, and even when reading books for hours, he is just keeping the same pose for all this time. Have I mentioned anything about saving a woman, bravery or chivalry? Actually, fighting was considered something barbaric throughout Chinese history. Even in famous book, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, it says, the supreme art of war is to win without fighting. Chinese martial arts such as Kung Fu also do not propagate this image of a muscular, real man as in the West, but instead the real art of Kung Fu is to build strategy, move swiftly, and win with minimum energy and movement. Ideal life in China for the majority of men is 老婆孩子热炕头, wife, children, and the warm blanket. Stability and harmony are the priority. That is why physical power and the fighting spirit are usually associated with threat, which Chinese people try very much to avoid. One of the most influential writers of his time One of the most influential writers of his time is Lin Yutang, and he wrote, Chinese soul is mostly feminine. But why in the first place as a society we think that feminine qualities are bad? Why do we think negatively when we say, oh, you act like a girl, you run like a girl, or you cry like a girl? And after all, who is the real man? Let me know in the comments below and subscribe to my channel, because in my next video I'll be talking about absolutely weird Chinese habits. See you there. Bye bye.